Welcome back to G Fun Facts Online. Today we're stepping away from our usual fare to tackle something incredibly important: the unseen scars left behind by school crises. When the news crews leave and the immediate danger passes, what happens next? The silence that follows a lockdown, an act of violence, or even a natural disaster is often more deafening than the event itself. It's in this quiet that the true impact reverberates through a community. And it's where the real challenge of recovery begins. Let's talk about the psychological footprint of these events. It's massive, and it's often invisible. For students, the very place they associate with learning, growth, and friendship can suddenly feel like a source of danger. This isn't just a fleeting fear. We see tangible, long-term effects. Research shows a significant increase in conditions like heightened anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. One staggering study, conducted after school shootings, found a more than 20% increase in antidepressant use among young people in the affected areas. And this wasn't a short-term blip. The trend persisted for over 3 years. This trauma doesn't stay confined to their emotional world, either. It spills directly into their academic life. Students exposed to these events are statistically more likely to be chronically absent. Their chances of graduating high school or successfully completing college can plummet. But what about the adults in the room? Educators, who are on the front lines, are often forgotten victims. They experience the same trauma, anxiety, and risk of burnout, but they're simultaneously expected to be pillars of strength for their students. Imagine being both a victim and a caregiver at the same time. It's an immense, draining burden that often comes with a profound feeling of being unsupported. And then there are the parents, grappling with their own fear for their children's safety while trying to project an aura of calm and stability for their family. This ripple effect of stress, anxiety, and depression spreads through the entire community. So with such a devastating impact, how do we begin to heal? The path forward isn't a one-size-fits-all map, but more like a compass pointing towards communication, routine, and creative expression. And the direction we take has to be tailored to age, because a first grader and a high school senior process trauma in vastly different ways. For elementary school students, the world is very concrete. They often can't find the words for their fear or sadness, so it comes out in their behavior. You might see increased clinginess, sudden tantrums, or even a regression to earlier behaviors like bedwetting. The single most important thing we can provide for them is a sense of safety and predictability. This means sticking to routines. Regular schedules for meals, bedtime, and playtime aren't just about discipline. They're about creating a comforting anchor of normalcy in a chaotic world. Another powerful tool is play. Drawing, making up stories, or using puppets can allow a child to act out and process their experiences in a way they can't yet articulate. When you do talk about what happened, use simple, honest, age-appropriate language. Focus on the core message: you are safe now. And many adults are working hard to keep you safe. And never, ever underestimate the power of physical comfort. Extra hugs or a reassuring pat on the back communicate safety on a primal, deeply effective level. Now, let's move to middle school. This is a notoriously tricky age. Adolescents are starting to pull away from family and seek independence, but a crisis can make them feel vulnerable and young again. They might withdraw from everyone, or they might act out with disruptive behavior. The key here is fostering open dialogue. The goal is to create a judgment-free zone where they can talk about their feelings. Let their questions guide the conversation. Instead of telling them how to feel, ask them what they're thinking and what they've heard. Creative outlets are also crucial. Journaling, making music, or diving into an art project can be a private, safe way for them to explore complex emotions. It's also a time to empower them. Involve them in creating family safety plans or finding age-appropriate ways to support the community. This helps them regain a sense of control over their environment which is often what's been lost. Most importantly, validate their feelings. Their fears might seem exaggerated to an adult, but to them, they are 100% real and terrifying. Acknowledging that is a critical step. Now, for high school students. Teenagers are old enough to grasp the full, terrifying implications of a crisis. They can experience a whole spectrum of intense emotions, from white-hot anger at the injustice of it all to a deep, pervasive sense of hopelessness about the future. Here, we need to actively promote healthy coping mechanisms. Encourage activities like exercise, mindfulness, or simple deep breathing techniques to manage the physical symptoms of stress and anxiety. We also need to talk about media exposure. Constantly scrolling through news coverage and social media commentary can be like pouring salt in an open wound. It can re-traumatize them over and over. Encourage them to take deliberate breaks from the news and their feeds. At this age, connection with peers becomes paramount. Facilitate opportunities for them to connect with friends, because sharing their experience with others who get it is an incredibly powerful tool for healing. And finally, we must normalize seeking professional help. Let them know that talking to a therapist or a counselor isn't a sign of weakness. It's a proactive and strong step towards managing a very difficult situation. Of course, the recovery of students is directly tied to the well-being of the adults around them. Parents, teachers, and the wider community form the three essential pillars of support. Let's start with parents. The first rule is like the one on an airplane. You must put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. You have to manage your own stress and emotions to be an effective support for your children. Self-care isn't selfish. It's a non-negotiable necessity. Your children will take their emotional cues from you. If you can model a calm and controlled presence, it will help them feel more secure. This doesn't mean you have to be an emotionless robot, but showing them that big feelings can be managed is a powerful lesson. Practice active listening. Be fully present, put your phone away, and listen to their concerns without trying to immediately fix them or minimize them. Sometimes, just being heard is the most healing thing of all. And of course, reinforce that home is a safe harbor, a place where they can be completely open about their feelings, without fear of judgment. Now, for teachers. Teachers are survivors too. It is absolutely essential that school systems provide them with the space and support to process their own trauma. Once back in the classroom, establishing a calm and predictable environment is key. Maintaining routines, even simple ones, creates that sense of normalcy we talked about. It's also vital to be flexible with academic expectations. A student's brain can't focus on algebra when it's stuck in survival mode. Create opportunities for connection that aren't tied to academics, like morning check-ins or quiet creative activities. And crucially, teachers must not feel they are alone. Collaboration with colleagues, school counselors, and administrators is vital for a coordinated and sustainable response. Finally, what is the role of the school and the broader community? The response must be immediate, but it must also be ongoing. Schools need to have grief counselors and trauma-informed therapists available from day one, and that support needs to be sustained for the long term, not just for a few weeks after the event. The community can help rebuild a sense of unity. Organizing events that bring students, families, and community members together to grieve, support one another, and just be together is incredibly healing. Communication from leadership must be open and transparent. Keeping everyone informed about safety measures and recovery plans helps to reduce the anxiety that is born from uncertainty. And schools should actively partner with local mental health agencies and other community groups to create a wide, strong safety net of support. The echo of a school crisis can linger for years, a ghost in the hallways and in the minds of those who live through it, but it doesn't have to define their future. Through a concerted, compassionate effort from every part of the community, it is possible to not only cope with the aftermath, but to build a more resilient and supportive environment. By prioritizing mental health, fostering open and honest communication, and remembering that we are all in this together, we can help our communities heal. We can help them emerge stronger, turning a moment of profound crisis into an opportunity for growth, connection, and a deeper understanding of our shared humanity. Thanks for listening to G Fun Facts Online.